Okay, now we move on to talk about the French Revolution. What really happened in France? Okay, France was never a colony of any country. It was one of the colonizer, we say. But the French society was somewhat divided among themselves. It was very much we could find striking differences between rich and the poor. We see that French society was divided into three kind of estate. The first one is the clergy. Clergy are the bishops, priests. Okay, the churchmen, they are clergy. The first estate. The second estate are the aristocracy. Aristocracy is all those people who control, no, control certain portions, certain land, or certain villages. Okay, they are the one. And third estate are the big merchants, traders, courts, staff laws. We call them as middle class. Okay, and then we also have after this middle class we have these peasants, artisans, and small farmers, and people who don't have any land. Okay, so landless laborers and servants. Okay, so in this third estate we have two divisions. One is a middle class and another one is a working class. Okay, right. Now what happened? As we see here, same, no, we find a constitutional monarchy in France in the 17th century, just before the French Revolution. Now, France helped the Americans to establish their own a republic, no, democratic democracy, we could say, and they helped them to fight against the British colonizers to establish a free country. Okay, now what happened? The king needed money to to compensate all the expenses that he used in order to have a campaign in states. Okay, now what happened? All that he can do is to impose taxes on the people. Now in the parliament we see these two people, the people who are in the first estate and people who are in the second estate. So they are the major representatives. Okay, now for king it is very easy to pass through the taxation without getting any consent from the third estate. But what happened now? This third estate, somehow they are awake. They wanted to have high amount of their presence in the parliament. So what happened? Now there are around 600, and then first and second estate they are only 300. Okay, representatives in the parliament. So even though we have high amount of representation from the third estate, but their voices were not heard in the parliament, and the king was really able to easily pass those bills of taxation. Here the problem begins. People are really angry now. They were really angry that they really wanted to abolish this feudal system. Okay, and they begin their fight. Okay, so each estate voted their estate general. Okay, the third estate, which represented 97.5% of the people, could not get any proposal passed unless it had the support of at least one of the other two estates. Okay, so we find this kind of discrimination in the parliament itself. So what happened now? We find the emergence of civil war in France. Okay, and all those who are from the third estate who find that their voices are suppressed, their voices are not heard in the parliament, they come to the streets with weapons. And there was a rumor stating that first and second estate, all those feudal lords are trying to gather army to suppress the people of the third estate. So what happens now? These angry farmers, angry peasants, and the middle class, they come into the street and they try to capture all the palaces. They try to execute all the feudal lords. Okay, so this is what takes place. Okay, finally, what happens now? These people of the third estate, they believe that they were let us say the middle class, okay, of the third estate. They believe that they were the true spokespersons of the French people. So what happened? They announced their own National Assembly on June 4, 1789. So this National Assembly, now it is known as National Constituent Assembly, got down to work of getting ready with a democratic constitution. So now they want to establish democracy with a considerable amount of support from the third estate, who are the majority of the population of the French society. So what happens at this time? The items of daily consumption were becoming so costly that they were out of reach of the common people. Okay, see, when people really wanted things and they could not really get, and when they find the rich people enjoying those benefits, they are really angry now. So angered, the crowd stormed Bastille prison, that prison, huge prison in France that is supposed to be a symbol of the monarchy in France. These people, they go and then just destroy the prison, releasing all the prisoners. Okay, and inspired by the storming of the Bastille prison, the people in many other towns and cities of France joined the protests and took power into their own hand. Okay, leading to another form of civil war in the country. Okay, now now these angry peasants, angry farmers, they looted granaries, they burned land documents, and they are executing all the landlords. Once again, the feudal lords are running for their lives. Okay, so finally this revolt continued till August 4th, 1789. Okay, so inspired by this intensity of the civil war, of this revolt, this Constituent Assembly passed an order to end the feudal system once and for all. Okay, along with all its taxes, duties, restrictions, and so on. Okay, at the same time, they work on preparing the new constitution of the French society. Okay, it's here we come across the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Citizens. So it was a first step towards creating a constitution to establish a democratic government in France. Okay, so here you see here the Declaration of Rights of Man and of Citizens. Okay, it's very important. So surely you will have questions from this portion, so you should really study them. Okay, so you will please read them, read through these declarations of the rights of man and of citizens. Okay, now here another hurdles we have. So here we talk of the rights of man. So here by rights of man, we see that there is some are being excluded, we could say. Okay, they believe that the place for women was in the home and they should not venture into public life. Okay, so here man, they literally mean man, not women. Okay, so that is why only the rights of man were established in the public sphere. It is also the reason why the French Revolution did not enfranchise, means right to vote. Okay, enfranchise women and excluded them from the rights of man and citizens. Okay, right now we have another new constitution in the year 1791. So this constitution defines who a citizen is. Okay, the new French constitution curtailed the powers of king. So this constitution, still there are kings, but now here we have the emergence of the constitutional monarchy. The king does not have any power without the parliament. The powers centralized, the monarchy was separated into the hands of the legislature and executive and judiciary. This laid the foundation of a constitutional monarchy in France. Though the king disagreed with the new constitution, he had no other choice to accept and approve it in September 1791. The constitution states, that the source of all powers is a citizen. Now the problem, this constitution has vague understanding of who a citizen is. They say all people living in France were accepted as citizens, but not all of them. See, here they define all are citizens, all those who are in France are citizens, but not all of them had the right to vote. This is very, very important. So who can vote? Only people who pay taxes, only people who are rich, only people who have got the property, only they can vote. Okay, so this leads to the division of citizens of two categories. One is active category and another one is passive category. Active category are those who have the right to vote, who are the property, who pay taxes, and the passive category are those who cannot vote, who are landless, who are very poor. Okay, right. The passive citizens enjoyed the citizens' right, but they did not have the right to vote. Okay, now what happened? This created dissatisfaction among the large amount of people, poor people who were not given the right to vote. The king and the aristocracy also tried to wreck the new constitution. They also asked the kings of neighboring countries to help them against their own people. So this is how we find things taking shape in the year 1791 with a new constitution that excluded the poor people as passive citizens. Now what happened after 1971? From 1792 to 94, we have another wave of revolution in France. The majority of French people were unhappy with the constitution because it accepted only people with property as active citizens. In those days, people met in political clubs or the societies to discuss political issues. So we say, now naturally when we have a tea shop, people gather together and then they talk about their society. Okay, so the same thing we find in those times. Okay, we call them as political clubs. Okay, so it is here that these people who are considered to be the passive citizens, they begin to gain momentum, they begin to gather support, they begin to revolt against this new system that excludes them. Okay, and their leader was Maximilien Robespierre, sorry. So Maximilien Robespierre, and under his influence, under his guidance, once again they waged war against the constitutional monarchy, and then finally what happened? The year 1793, the National Convention decided that the peasants' tenants would not have to pay their landlords any compensation. So what they do, they once and for all they abolish the feudal system, and they also want to include these passive citizens as active citizens, as citizens who enjoy the equal right to vote. Okay, right. Now what happened? Finally, we have a beginning of a democracy, a republic of France, under the leadership of Robespierre, who headed the revolution. Okay, now what happens? Robespierre exercised such strict control and implemented his policies so harshly that even his own supporters were distressed. He became so arrogant, he became so ruthless. So what happened? Their own supporters were not happy with him. So finally what happened? His period was known as a period of terror, and once again the National Constituent Assembly, they gathered and they sentenced him to death. And after the fall of his government, once again what happens? The power passes into the hands of the wealthy class and royalty, and the people are once again disenfranchised, which means they were not given their right to vote. Okay, from this moment forward we have another wave in France that we call as France campaign against the European kings and its defeat. Okay, so during the French Revolution, the Constituent Assembly had announced in 1792 that France would help to end the monarchies and dynasties of Europe, of their own country and the Euro. Okay, now here we have the emergence of Napoleon, general, and under his leadership, under his army, France established um, France tried to abolish the monarchy, but unknowingly ended up into monarchy in its own soil. So Napoleon became a ruler, a strong ruler, a king. He fought against many countries in Europe, took over their kingdoms, merging them into France and so on. So finally, what happens now? Napoleon was defeated by the coalition of other European countries. Now, after the defeat of Napoleon at Waterloo in the year 1815, we see once again the emergence of the old monarchies, and landowners became to rule once again. We have the re-establishment of the feudal system. Okay, but this did not last long. Okay, so France had to fight almost for another 50 years to re-establish itself as a republic in the year 1891. Okay, so with that we complete this, and in the last section we will study about new wave of democratic nationalism in Europe. Thank you.